We are connected so much to the sea that we rely on the sea on every daily basis. The majority of our life is beside the sea. We go to sleep listening to the sea. We wake up listening to the sea. We live all our days beside the sea. We hear, we smell, and we feel the sea. Our children are like little turtles. When they learn to walk, they go to the sea. They get molded in such a way beside the sea. Their first food is fish. Staple diet is seafood. The income in our community is from the sea. We rely on the sea more than any other thing. That's the connection between us and the sea, me and the sea, my children and the sea. As an indigenous person, saltwater man from Masig, Zenat Kes, Torres Strait, I am connected to the heavens. I am connected to the winds. I am connected to the flora and fauna and the marine life, all the mammals. That's what makes us, or makes me, a York Islander, and a proud one. My name is Yese Mosby. I'm from York Island, Kulkalgal tribe, from Torres Strait. Here on the island Masig, the traditional name, or York Island, I work at the power station. I'm also the PBC chair here on the island, the prescribed traditional owner body, which is I am the chairman of that, representing the 13 clans, which calls Masig home. Also, I'm cultural advisor for all who comes to our island. That is the most biggest job I have in preserving, teaching, and passing on traditional knowledge to those who need to know more.
When I talk about the river, it's not just a river. It is the essence of life. We call it Marawara, which means river of life. So it is connected to every little living system. What we're seeing now in this time of climate change is that these systems are changing right before our eyes. The river, it is really everything to us. It is our identity, it is our law, it is our intergenerational storytelling, how we pass this knowledge. I sit here and I look up and I can see there's medicine here, there's food here. I could just put a fishing line in there and I could catch fish and feed you all. So it is the river of life because it means that it holds life, it gives life, it needs to stay alive and it needs to continue to flow. Ngajunu nilawal and Polina, ngayu imarawara manan, ngai manda jara nyigen nganga on my buru on the Marawara on the Fitzroy River. So in my language, I said, good day. My name is Anne Polina. I'm a woman who belongs to the Fitzroy River. So in my culture, the river owns me and I'm bound under a moral obligation to protect this river for its life and all of my life to allow it to live and to flow.
Ngaji no nilawala and Polina, ngayo imbadwara manan, ngai manda jara nganga borong, lian borong ngayo muja, making movie today, ngayo, kalia, mabo.
This river is really connected to the world that we come from, about peace, about harmony, about balance, about sharing the amazing resources that come out of this river, sharing it with fellow Australians, showing that this river has been National Heritage listed because of the serpent beings. And so if it's National Heritage, it means that it belongs to fellow Australians and indeed the world. And that's why we've created the walking trail, to walk people on country, to feel country, to hear country, come and be a part of not destroying it. And so that's what we want the story of the river to be.
Water sovereignty is critical to Indigenous governance. Water sovereignty is about us having the self-determination to inform best practice about the water on our country, but also not the ownership of the water and just thinking about the economic benefits of it, but what about the cultural flows of that water and the identity of that water as a living being, ancestral spirit, and how that relates to the health of country, and then also back to us. So water sovereignty is encompassing of all of that. So my name's Clint Hansen, my mob's Imin, which is central Queensland, around the Taroom, Wandowan area. And the work I do is in the cultural water space, which is highlighting the cultural value of water from the Indigenous perspective and traditional owner perspective of the Imin peoples. And then also gathering Western scientific data and raw data analysis of that water health and being able to share that back to the public.
We don't want to fall in the water.
Water sustains us. Mother Earth, she needs water. She gives us our food source, shade, shelter, everything. So, you know, if we don't have water, we don't survive, neither does anything. Then everything's dead, that means we're all gone. That was morbid. We have water flows, cultural water flows. So, you know, with those being cut off, whether they're clogged or they're being cut off by industry or whatnot, you know, that cuts off our bloodline, our connection. My name's Samala Deshong. My mob's the Koyinjamal people from Coimabara country. That's on my maternal side and paternal side, Kabi Kabi Bachala, which is down Apple Tree Creek, Childers. Today we're at St. Lawrence on Coimabara country. And a lot of my work is around environment, land and water. Me and my older sister have always worked on country, been involved in a lot of the sea forums and working in environment as rangers. We're out on country all the time and seasons have changed. I guess everything's changed.
What we see through our eyes, no people see. People have the opportunity to sit and watch David Attenborough on TV. We live David Attenborough life every day. And the cultural knowledge and the traditional knowledge of what we hold, nobody knows about it. They don't know that we're scientists, we're professors, we're doctors. We study the stars and whatnot. Things don't add up due to climate change, which makes our motherland confused, which makes the sea around it confused. The marine life is confused.
We live off the fish in the sea, so when that's kind of depleted, well, then we are too. So it's important for us to look after this coastline and the water flows into the Great Barrier Reef. You know, if we don't, it's sick and we're sick. And I guess it's loss of our people and our story.
You see the changes, having to go fishing and not being able to get fish because there's too much fresh water in the salt water, or just being able to see all of that. And then you hear the old people say, oh, you know, like, this never used to be that way.
Climate change, changing climate, we're all noticing it, and I guess that's our language.
As First Nations people, being hunters and gatherers, not being able to get, certain food source at a certain time of year, that tells us there's something wrong. My name is Marietta Matasia. I'm the Ranger Coordinator for Nganum Wangtim Land and Sea. And my mob are the Teptegi people, situated on the Wenlock River catchment. We look after a range of country, not just sea country, but inland, freshwater river catchment country. So it's like a supermarket, really. You've got a variety. It's been a privilege for me to look after this country. When I was here last, it wasn't this bad. With the change of the tides and the weather, we did cleanups for the last 2 years, and those beaches were clean. You know, that's climate change, because there's a shift in the balance of how things used to be. For us to come out a month ago and see that the sand has shifted and just uncovered everything, it made us feel like what we had spent the last 2 years cleaning was for nothing. All across the top end of Australia, it's a challenge, from up in NPA, Torres Strait, across to Northern Territory, Western Australia. Like, we've all got the same problem. Beach erosion is one thing, whether it's dredging or it's the tides. The river used to go straight through here. The sandbar used to be across the river. So now, like, we get the 3-meter tides. When I was here last, this wasn't here. We used to have a turtle rookery right here where we're sitting, which was a turtle rehab for any turtles that were found on the beaches. The rangers used to bring them back and let them rest before they could take them and send them away to rehab centres down south. But all of this got washed away with the king tides. The king tides came all the way up to the ranger base. That's just an example. In some areas, our beaches get washed away, and like I said, it gets covered and uncovered. It's like a big washing machine.
We see that climate change is really having a big impact. Everything is out of whack. Our elders have produced seasonal calendars, and none of them are lining up. These calendars are changing because country is changing. And so we need to come up with different ways of reading country, feeling country. Is country healthy? Is country sick? Understanding that this is a living system and everything is connected. These living water systems are changing. The food, the medicines, they're not all producing. So from our perspective, we're already in a deficit, and yet what we've got touted on us is more pressure to take water to allow agriculture to happen.
Being a saltwater woman, to me, it's everything. It's really hard to separate who I am from being connected to that place and that environment. My name is Mibu Fisher, and I'm a Nunaku Nuki and Ngurumpa woman from Quandamooka country, which is just off the coast of Brisbane. And I work as a marine ethnoecologist or a marine ecologist, and that means that I work really in the field of getting Indigenous peoples into marine science, and that includes their sciences, their knowledges and their worldviews, and it can include aspects of marine management or fisheries or other aspects of marine science. I think the field of marine science is so far behind our land counterparts. When it comes to listening or understanding traditional owners in this space, simply because, well, we don't live in the ocean, which might seem kind of silly, but I think that really has a big part of it. Just being unable to draw a line on a map or physically see people's connection to a place or where the boundary is, it's a different concept for people to try and get their heads around. The impacts of climate change are huge, and they're very varied for communities, specifically Indigenous communities globally, not just in Australia. They go beyond just like the physical impacts to country and to species. It also extends into like that emotional, cultural well-being spaces and what impacts it's actually going to have to us as people, and what does that mean to our identity. You know, whatever happens to that country or that place, you really feel it. You feel it deep within your being, like in your bones, and it hurts. It hurts when there's something bad happening there.
When our country is not healthy, we are not healthy. When the country is hurting is when it needs us more than ever. Holy shit. Sorry.
Where I'm sitting now, at the back, my uncle walked past. He had a very concerned look on his face. He walked here at the back of me, and I asked him, what's wrong? He said, come. The grave of the elderly down there has been washed out. So me and my children walked, washing bucket in the lagoon straight behind me, rinsing these buckets to carry these elderly remains. When I seen my son grabbed her head and put it in a bucket, then I realized that my son is connected to this very lady, my son's 5th generation, that set a fire and lit a fire within me that something has to be done. No children should be picking up their ancestral remains like shells off the beach. The fear got into me that something definitely has to be done, because I don't want to see what I see now happen 50 to 60 years' time with my grandchildren picking up my remains. I have to put my voice out there. I have to educate the rest of the world how climate change actually affects. And that's what made us sit now and say, no wonder our motherland is confused. No wonder the flora and fauna is confused. All our sacred ground is washed away. That's what made me to be and join the Torres Strait 8. That's what made me to fight against climate change, to reduce the emission down to 1.5. That's all we're asking. We're not asking them to grow our island back out there to where it was before. We don't want a band-aid solution. We just want them to reduce the emission down to 1.5, so their grandchildren will have the opportunity not to see a kangaroo in the zoo, but to see it in nature, how our children are seeing it. That they'll have the opportunity to jump on a boat in Cairns to go out to Green Island and see turtles swimming, or to drive up to the tip of the Cape York and see crocodiles, see snakes, what we see now. One day, it won't have, if the greediness of this country continues. When you play with the mother, Mama Australia, you tamper with everything which officiates around that. The fury of Mother Nature now is unpredictable. She is very angry, which makes the Father out there, the ocean, unpredictable.
A holistic approach is really needed to help us address climate challenges, because the answers don't just lie within one area or one species or within one person, and so it does really mean including diverse worldviews and Indigenous peoples within that.
How can we get Western science and traditional knowledge to work together for water health of country is a big thing I do within my research, and they're within their own lanes and they have their own sort of identity and respect. But that doesn't mean to say that Indigenous data and Indigenous informed data can't be informed by Western science and vice versa.
Billions of dollars go into this, and now they're coming back and asking us for our traditional knowledge to help. So I think it plays a vital role, and I guess that now it's the piece where we know country, we got our oral history about areas and sites and said water flows. I think that needs to be acknowledged and listened to, because when our water source, it's dammed or something, it's like blood throwing through your veins. You cut off that, and we need to open that up again.
It's inspiring to see these communities still come together and try and just find a solution to keep moving ahead, because that's all that matters, and it's really nice to be a tiny part of that, and to also give people the power to be able to make these decisions, or give them the information that they need to be part of that decision-making process. I think that's really important.
In order to transform the systems, we have to be brave. We have to get out of our safety spot. We have to speak up. We have to have a voice. Importantly, we need to show the voice of country, the voice of the rivers, and understand and question from the rivers is what are the humans doing.
It's people's lives that we're talking about, so I think we still have to be able to talk about these very serious and heavy issues with a sense of hope.
Can we learn from the lessons of the past? Can we dream that our young people, Indigenous and non, can have a future? That requires dialogue and transformation right now in the present. These decisions need to be now. The impacts of water take, the impacts of fracking, the impacts of us unjust development are happening right now. And in order to think about how can our young fellow Australians who are not born yet come to this place in the future?
Continue that fight to protect your country, continue to practice your culture, continue to push the boundaries within the Western colonial system of how you see your country to help and better form best practice for the world around climate change. Because without us doing that, nothing is going to change.
We want people to come here to our country and look, to sit with us on the bosom of this country, this island, and feel the heartbeat of what we feel. To see what we see, to have much more clear understanding.
True respect for Indigenous land management, water management and sovereignty is Indigenous-led governance frameworks and decisions, not researching about us or for us or on top of us. Indigenous knowledge holders within their respective fields need to be leading the way for that to be genuine.
We are the first scientists, archaeologists, anthropologists, geologists, hydrologists. We have been that from the beginning of time. If we are not factoring in Indigenous knowledge, Indigenous wisdom, Indigenous science into the complexity of what is happening on Mother Earth, we will meet our own demise.
When you sit in the comfort of your lounge and you look at the TV and say, that's a beautiful island, he's talking crap, relocate them and put them to the mainland Australia. No, come here. Come here to my yard and feel what we feel. Come with your knowledge and sit with our knowledge, and let's work out something that will help this country. By saving these islands, is saving this country. Here in the Torres Strait, we're living in the front line of this country. We're the front door of Australia. Come and fix that doorknob.